Welcome to Humble Acres. My name's Jordan, and it's been a year now since I took delivery of this Kubota L4060 Limited Edition. This tractor has probably been the single best investment I've made in my property. It has saved me so much time and so much wear and tear on my back. I've been able to get so much done with this, and it's truly just been life-changing for me, honestly. So there's a lot of different things I've done with this tractor. I'm gonna make a playlist with all the videos I've done using this tractor. Put a link to that right up here in the corner. So this tractor has been a very versatile machine. It can be used for so many different things. It's hard to just pinpoint one because having the skid steer quick attach loader makes it kind of endless for the things you can put on the front of it. The 3-point on the back with the PTO, there's a lot of different options you can use that for. It's really just been very versatile, and it's nice to have one machine that can basically do anything that you want. There are some negatives as well. It can do a lot of different things, but it probably can't do all those different things as good as designated machines. Let's get into that a little bit. So for instance, the stump grinder, it can grind stumps. I have probably ground close to 100 stumps with this stump grinder, and it's worked fine. But if you actually want to grind stumps for a business or something like that, this isn't the way to go. It can't fit into tight locations, for one. Yeah, that's probably the biggest downfall, is where it can go to grind stumps. There's some stumps that I have like in tight places or on really steep inclines. This tractor is not going to be able to do that because it'll either roll or it can't fit into those areas. It's worked very well for me. There's only a couple that I haven't been able to use this for, but for my purposes, not being a business and just doing mostly my own stuff, this has worked great. There are some benefits to this grapple on here and some downfalls. So if this were on a skid loader, you wouldn't be able to get the reach that this has. That's one thing this is nice. Like, the wheels are quite a ways back compared to where the loader attachment is, so you can actually kind of get out and over things, whereas on a skid steer you really can't get that as good anyway. So that is one plus to this tractor, but it also doesn't have the lift capacity as a lot of skid steers would have. The front hydraulics for the third function, they work fine. I really haven't had any problems with this stump bucket or anything like that. The stump bucket's another thing. I really like the stump bucket. This isn't really a review for it, but I think I paid $1,100 for this shipped off of eBay, and it was the cheapest one I could possibly find that had dual hydraulic cylinders. And I'm very happy I went with this one because the dual hydraulic cylinders makes it so you can pick up like varying objects and they adjust to whatever the object is and keeps a nice grab on it. So I really like that. I did bust my first hose last week, so I had to replace this hose here. I don't really know how that happened. It worked. It was working fine, and then when I took it off, I must have accidentally hit it or something, because the next time I went to hook up to it, it was cut in half. So I don't really know exactly how that happened, but it did. Speaking about the third function, this is not how the third function is originally mounted on here. It's actually originally mounted 90 degrees, and these ports point straight forward. But I added all of this junk on here because this is actually a quick attach coupler. So there's a red button that's not supposed to be on the bottom, it's supposed to be on the top, but it's on the bottom on mine because I had to modify it. So if you press the button, you can spin this and that comes out. And normally you can get one of these adapters for each one of your implements, and then you don't have to have these quick attachments on here. Put that back in. It's very nice and very easy to get those attached, which is nice. So what they didn't tell me at the dealership is to get just this little quick attach part right here is like $200. I wasn't gonna buy one of those for each one of my attachments. I guess I only have one other one right now, but I'm not gonna spend $200 every time I want to put another attachment on here. So I ended up just doing that, and in order to make it work, I had to rotate this 90 degrees. So I actually fabricated this mount plate for it here that just spun it. So that's what's going on with that. And this handle sticking out here doesn't get in the way. It's actually plenty far back that the loader and nothing hits it. So that worked out fine. The hoses, I was just able to move and route to here, and it works fine as well. So it's a little, the hoses are a little bit more protected with it like this. I don't understand why they didn't like take this and mount it up here. I know the leveling thing is kind of in the way, which honestly I never use that. Like, if you're getting one and this is an option, just don't get it. I've never used this little leveling thing, so it's not, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't really work, because I honestly have never had, well, not never, I've only used the actual bucket that this tractor comes with one time. I've had this grapple on here most of the time I've owned the tractor. So this leveling thing just hasn't been used at all. So I could probably take that off, but what I'm trying to get is they really should have mounted this up right here. There's a nice big flat spot right here. It should have just been mounted right there like a skid steer is, and then the hoses could just come straight down and around. I really wish they would have done that. That would have made a lot more sense, and it would have gotten all this mess out of here. But for now, I'm not going to mess with it. It's working fine where it is, and we'll just go with that. So let's go through some of the warranty things I've had to have done with this. The first thing you can actually kind of see here. So you see how it's kind of, the paint's all rubbed off right here. So that just happens naturally because there's no spacer in between this and this plate here. So the paint just gets rubbed off on that. And on the other side, it's the same way. The paint just gets rubbed off on here. But the problem I was having was, I don't remember which side it was. It was either this side or that side. But one of the sides, it was grinding on this part so much that it was shaving off the metal. And it made this, you can kind of see there's a lip right there. It made it flat with this indented part. It was rubbing so bad. So I took it, or I called the dealer and gave them pictures and stuff, and they replaced that linkage for me for free. And what they said they found was this pin was actually seized to this arm and it couldn't float in there. So they said there was too much paint or something built up when they put it together, and it seized it together and it just hits. But I mean, it still rubs way too much in my opinion. They should have put a spacer in there. It doesn't really make sense that there isn't, but that's how it's supposed to be. So I guess I'll just deal with it. It's way better than it was, that's for sure. There's two more things that I had to have fixed. Right here, I don't know what this is, but right here on this seam right here, there is, or is it, I don't remember if it's here or here, but in here there's an O-ring that seals these parts together. And from the factory, that O-ring was pinched and it wasn't in the right groove. So I had a bunch of oil leaking out right here. So they took that all apart, put a new O-ring in there. They sent me a picture that it was crushed in there. That was fixed under warranty, and it's been fine ever since, so that's good. The last thing was my front wheels, actually all the wheels, the lug nuts were not torqued down from the dealer. So these actually come from the dealer without wheels and stuff on them, and they put the wheels that you want on there. So I optioned for the R1 ag tires because I'm going to be off-road a lot with this, so yeah, it just made a lot more sense for me to have the ag tires. But yeah, none of the lug nuts were tightened down, so I should have checked that, but honestly the dealer should have tightened them. So I found that one of my front wheels was missing like 2 or 3 lug nuts one day. So the dealer gave me some new ones. I put them on there, torqued them all down, torqued the back ones down. So I haven't had to mess with those since. They've been fine and good and dandy. That is all the warranty work I've had done on this tractor. It's not very much, honestly, and most new vehicles, well, tractors, I feel like they all have some tiny little things. The way I feel about equipment is the first 10 hours, you're gonna have problems usually, but if you get past the 10 or even 100 hours or whatever, you're probably gonna be fine. Like, most likely all the things are gonna work out, and after I've had all that stuff done, I haven't had any other issues. There is one thing that I've just now noticed. I am at 126 hours on this tractor now, and the one thing I've noticed, it's not that big of an issue, but it is becoming more apparent to me. This joystick for the front end loader, when I push it this way, I've had it to where it doesn't want to recenter. It seems like it is sticky for some reason. But now it seems to be working fine. I don't know if I just got some gunk in the linkages down there or something. I did just wash it, so I might have cleaned it up. Maybe there was something in there that was preventing it, but it seems to be working fine now and recentering itself. But it was like coming back just a little bit and not wanting to recenter, but it seems to be working fine now. So it may have just been really dirty, which the tractor was. I washed it for this because it was really dirty. I think that was the second time I've ever washed it, but it looks nice and shiny now. I do have some scratches on the hood here. I don't even know if you'll be able to see those in the camera, but I do have some scratches because I do a lot of tree clearing and brush stuff with this tractor, and it was bound to happen. I tried to prevent it as much as possible, but it happened. You can see though, my front grille hasn't been smashed in yet. And I've seen a lot of people on the Facebook group saying they put a nice brush guard and stuff on there, and they say, oh, you're gonna crush your front grille and stuff, but I haven't had a problem with it. I am very careful when I'm using my grapple and with branches and stuff, and you can see I have that whole pile of branches there. I have a huge pile of branches out there. Like, there's so many trees I've cut down. Like I said, ground about 100 stumps, so I've probably cut down around 100 trees out here and moved them with this tractor. Have yet to puncture the grill, which there's a day which it might happen, but maybe I've just been really lucky. But I also am very careful when I'm trying to pick stuff up with it. So there's a technique to it, I feel, and I don't know, I feel like I'm pretty good at it. So let's see, we've done one oil change on it. I have a video of that as well if you want to look at that. We've had no problems. I did that 50 hours or 50.2 hours. You can see that. That was almost a year ago I did that now. Let's see, let's open the hood up and see what we got in there. Pull the little lever. And we can lift this up. And then it'll go up itself. I like the gas strut in there, it's very nice. So let's see, coolant level, I mean, it's probably gone down a little bit. It was probably at the full mark. I should probably fill that back up. This little grill thing here, I've never actually had to clean that out. And I bale hay with this. So, cut hay, bale hay, but I've never actually had to clean that screen. This front grill, it gets like covered with stuff, but usually you can just come and like turn the tractor off and just brush this off and it all falls on the ground. So this is a nice secondary one, but I honestly have never had any problem getting grass or anything stuck in there. So I've never cleaned out under here. This is just how it is. Let's see, the filter, I've never cleaned the filter, and it looks like it is saying 25% plugged. So that's not that bad. Let's see, I've never had to drain any water out of the fuel, so that's still there. And yeah, I've never had to open that at all. I don't know, under here everything's been fine. I've never had to, I open occasionally just to make sure there isn't like a mouse nest or something, but honestly there's just nothing that has had to have been done under here. Everything still works perfectly fine. You can see in there it's a little dirty and stuff, but yeah, I mean, everything works good, so there's no point in messing with anything if it's all working. So this is a 40 horse tractor. It has to do the regen stuff. I've now had to do 3 regens on this tractor in 126 hours. I personally have never had a problem with it. I actually did a regen in this video right here. I'll put a link to that one specifically because I know a lot of people are going to want to see that. So there is a regen in this video if you want to see how that goes, but I haven't had a problem with it. I have looked into companies that do the exhaust filter delete on these because you have to reprogram the computer. It just seems dumb that these have to have computers, but yeah, so I've looked into that. I'm not going to do that until it's out of warranty, for one, because I'm just going to avoid my warranty if I do that. I honestly don't even know how long my warranty. It's probably like a 5 or 6 year warranty, but yeah, I'm just not going to do that. Once it stops working, then maybe I'll deal with it. But I also looked into, it says you're supposed to clean that filter out, which is the exhaust filter. In the manual it says you're supposed to clean that every 3,000 hours. I don't know if I'll ever get to that, honestly. I just don't see that happening. Unless one of the sensors fails, I don't see ever having to deal with that, but who knows? Maybe we'll get there someday. But at 100 hours or 126 hours a year, that's going to take me the rest of my life to be able to get there, and I don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, yeah, that's under the hood. There's really nothing to talk about because everything works perfectly fine. I have not had to touch a single thing under here. Yeah, that's it. Let's put this back down. So I want to talk about these R1 tires. The front ones have a lot more wear than I would have expected. You can kind of see how they're kind of slanted back like this. I don't know why they're wearing like that. Yeah, it seems like they're wearing abnormally to me, but it's hard to say. The insides look a lot better. The outsides are way more cut on the outside. You can see that there's some pretty good cuts in these tires. Yeah, I kind of use and abuse it, I guess you could say, but there's a lot of cuts in it. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot with trees, and I tore apart a house there, and there were a lot of nails. I've only had one nail in my tire so far, but I was able to plug it, and it's been holding fine. But yeah, there's a lot of cuts and stuff in these. They're probably not going to last me too many years. I'll probably get 2 or 3 years out of them probably if I keep up what I'm doing. The back ones, on the other hand, look basically new. I mean, they have a little wear right in the center, but yeah, they look fine. I also have a rim guard in these, which is beet juice. So they are filled up 100, well, not 100%, but they're filled up to here, or wherever the valve stem is, so like to here, with beet juice. And that adds, I forget how much weight. I think it's 1,000 pounds total to the rear. I definitely like that because if I didn't have that in there, I'd be lifting the back of the tractor off the ground all the time with the loader, because the loader has a lot more power than there is weight in the back. So even with these filled and my box blade on here, I can still lift the back off the ground. Like, there's that much leverage with the front. So yeah, that's about that. I really like the R1 tires. I think with the front ones, I might not do R1 on the front again because they do wear so rapidly. I might try, I think they have like the R14 that are kind of like a turf slash kind of R1 tire. So I might try those on the front. Hopefully they would wear a little better, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. So yeah, I guess we'll just see how this goes on our 2-year review, and we'll see that. I do like this saw haul. I bought that myself and put it on there, and I really like that thing. I obviously cut a lot of trees down, and it's nice just to put a chainsaw there out of the way, and I really like that. Let's see, what are some other things people ask me about? There's some people that say that all this hydraulic hoses and stuff out here, like you're gonna snag that on something and rip it off. I've never had a problem with that. If you're getting that close to something, you probably shouldn't be there, because yeah, you're obviously just way too close to it. These rear tires, or the rear rims, I do have set out quite a ways. So these on the L4060 or the Grand L series are adjustable on the width. So I have these set out almost all the way. The width of the rear tires is set at 72 inches. So that's the width of my box blade. I can go wider if I want. I don't really remember how much wider, but yeah, these inside rims could go on the inside of these brackets here still. So I probably have about 2 more inches on each side that I could move these out. So I could add another 4 inches in width if I wanted to, but I really liked it here. I actually, when I bought this, I told the dealership to put them all the way out because my property is pretty hilly, so I wanted more stability, and they didn't do what I asked, so that was a little annoying. But I've just left it where they put it because 72, it's kind of nice because my box blade is 72 inches wide, so it kind of just tracks nice with that. So that's why they said they left it there. They also said that it puts more stress on the axle, but that's stupid. I don't know why they said that. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, the center of the hub is out, but it... Anyway, we're going to move on from that comment because that was just dumb. Anyway, so you can probably see on the back here that there's supposed to be little lights right here. They're like round lights, and they screw right into this hole here. And then there's wiring for it too, right here. I took those off because I was cutting a tree one day, and a branch just rubbed over it and just broke the light. So I'm like, well, those are stupid. There's already lights on there. Why do I need these stupid ones sticking up there? So I just took them off. I don't need those. That doesn't make any sense. I also took off the triangle thing here, the caution triangle thing, because it just gets in the way when you're trying to get in the toolbox. It sits right behind there. That's annoying, and there's no reason I need it on there. If I go into town to get some diesel or something, I just put the hazards on. I haven't been pulled over or anything, and they just don't care around here because tractors are always on the road. One of the biggest things that I get asked about this tractor is, do I regret not getting the cab? I would say no. I personally do not regret it. This tractor, I need to be able to have more clearance than I do comfort. There are times when I would like to have a cab on this tractor though. Mainly when I'm mowing out in the field, because I actually have really bad allergies, and mowing just makes me feel terrible. But it's kind of a give take, because most of the time I'm not doing field work. I'm working on trees or stump grinding or just a lot of different things I need to be able to jump on and off the tractor real quick. And I just think it would get tedious trying to open a door and get in and out a lot. And then the other thing is, the main thing is the clearance issue. With the ROPS on here, I can just fold that down, which I've had it folded down pretty much ever since I bought it, because that's the only way I can actually fit it into my garage. My garage has a 7-foot tall door, and having those folded over, it has like a 1/4 of an inch before it hits getting into my garage. So luckily I could still get it in there, but with the cab, there's no way I would have been able to do that. So that is one of the biggest reasons I don't have that. And I've been having to do a lot of tree work. Obviously, I do a lot of tree work, and going under low branches and stuff, it's been really nice. There's probably a couple times when I probably would have hit the cab because I just need to get around. That being said though, there may be a time when I trade this tractor in for one with a cab. Eventually, I'm not going to do near as much tree work. My property has been let go for many, many years, probably the last 10 or 20 years, and a lot of trees have grown up. Once I eventually reclaim all that land and the trees are gone, I could definitely see getting a cab tractor at that point. But that's going to be a long way down the road, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's talk about some of the key features of this tractor that I really like. So I was looking at a John Deere, which I just kind of avoided because I do not like their control system. I prefer having this pedal because you can either set your foot on here, rock it back and forth, which I never do because that hurts my ankle trying to go backwards like that, or you can just press down right here, go backwards, or go forward like that. And I really like that rather than the two pedal setup like the John Deere's have, because I just feel like it's very easy to not know which one you're pressing, because this one I don't ever have to look down. I know, because they're two very drastically different spots. So I really like that about it. Let's see over here. I have two rear hydraulic hookups on this. So yeah, I don't use those a whole lot, but they're nice to have. Eventually I want to get a hydraulic top link, so that'll be what this one is, and then the other one I can use for attachments and stuff. Throttle works fine, or no, that's not throttle. This is throttle. This is the 3-point, which works fine. No problem there. Works great. I don't know what this one's for. Maybe that's if you have the front hydraulic hookup for like a snowblower. That's probably what that's for. Throttle right here, very convenient. You got your PTO engagement here. Works great. These are for light switches. I do have some switches I put in here, and then down here you can also see there are just plugs there that you can plug 12-volt power into, and then you can get power to like light switches back here, and then you can mount some lights up on the bars if you want. Let's see, you got your joystick here. This is your 3-point buttons. This is a throttle up right here. If you press that, it puts the RPMs at max throttle, or there's actually a designated RPM. You can actually, in here in the computer, you can actually adjust what RPM this goes to when you press it, but I honestly just never use that. I always just set the throttle where I want it. This button's to turn the third function on and off. Very simple. So one of the big differences between the 4701 and the 4060, because those were really the two tractors that I was looking at, but for the cost, this one just gave you so many more features than the 4701, and I don't know why people buy the 4701 over the 4060. You do get a little bit more horsepower, but honestly I doubt it's enough to know the difference, because this one has plenty of horsepower. Yeah, so I really like having this back here, the joystick back here, because on the 4701 it comes off the front, so your arm's constantly sitting up here, but back here it's a lot more ergonomic, I guess you could say, and you have all your other controls here. Over here you got your high, medium, and low gears, which I usually leave it in medium because that's where it usually works best. You got your 4-wheel drive here, and you got your diff lock there. I've only used the diff lock a couple times. 4-wheel drive I use quite often. You got your brake pedals over here. I just have them attached together. You can take this little bar up, and then you can do them independently if you want. When I'm mowing, I might do that. By mowing, I mean sickle mowing for hay. I might have them separate then, but I usually just have them like that. And then you get your parking brake there. Works really good. And yeah, now to the best parts. This HDS, I guess I don't know what it stands for. Hydraulic drive selector. Maybe? I don't know. So let's turn this on. So you can see right here, there's a little rabbit. So if I push back on this, it goes to a turtle. And if I pull up, it goes to a rabbit. So this tractor has 2 different gears or ranges for each one of these gears. So low, there's also slow and fast speed in the low gear. Medium and high, they're both the same way. So each one, so really there's 6 gears for forward, and then, well, yeah, I guess reverse would be the same, but that alone is worth getting the Grand L series. It's amazing. You can move, you can adjust that on the fly. You can have their pedal all the way forward and do that, and it just takes off or slows down. It's amazing. That is by far one of my most used things on this tractor, and I really love that. Let's see. I added the cruise control. The limited editions do not come with cruise, but when I'm mowing, it's kind of nice to have that. All of the wiring is there for it already, so you just have to buy the button, which was like $70 or $80, and then you put it in there, and it just works. Let's see, we got front headlights there. You got your exhaust filter buttons here, your hazard lights are there, and then this is for your display. So if we turn this back on, so you can go through your different modes here. So that's how much fuel you're using. Looks like 0.7 gallons an hour is my average. Tells you your rear PTO, and when it's on, it tells you the RPM of the PTO, which is nice. These are all of your modes. So the throttle up, so this is that button on the joystick. So right now it's set at 2600 RPM. So if I press that button, it'll go to 2600 RPM. The responsiveness is how responsive you want this pedal to be. So I have it on +3 right now. I think you can go up to +6 or something. Okay, so this is where it's at. So you can see I have it towards the faster, but not all the way because it gets way too touchy then. So that is where that is. Oops, now I'm changing it. You gotta press and hold. There we go. So then we can go back in here. Let's see what this one is. Oh, stall guard. Okay. So stall guard, basically, if you are pushing your loader into like a pile of dirt or something and you're full on the throttle and the RPMs start to drop, it will cut power to the pedal in order to keep the engine running, so it won't stall the engine. So I have that on all the time. It just makes sense. I don't know. The auto HDS, so what that does, I honestly don't know what that does. I don't think I've ever messed with that. I don't know what the auto HDS does, honestly. I've never messed with that. There is another button for auto throttle advance. I personally do not like that. So what happens is when you press down on the pedal to go forward, it will automatically turn your RPMs up. Like it'll throttle up your engine. And I really don't like that. I guess we could show you some of these. Why don't we show you some of these things, because it's way easier to show. So let's turn the auto throttle up on. All right, auto throttle advance. So when I back up, you can see how it turns the RPMs up for me. And you let go and it goes back down. Does the same with the forward one. I don't really like that. I personally just don't really like that. So I turn that off, and then I just set it to an RPM I want, and then I can just go. And it doesn't change at all. So then we have the HDS right here. So if it's on turtle right now, if I pull it and put on rabbit, then we go a little faster. So you can see we're going 3 miles an hour right now. If I put it back in turtle, we're now going 1.8 miles an hour. I didn't change my foot position at all. So that's what that does. Let's find out what that auto HDS does, because I have never messed with that. So let's go into this display. Alright, it's on. Let's see what happens. It automatically switched. Oh, now it's switched back. I don't know what it's thinking. It switched back and forth real quick, but now it's just staying there. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what that does. I'd have to look at the manual, but that just seems dumb to me. Alright, so we have the auto throttle up set at 2600. So if I press this button right now, watch what it does. And I let go. That's all it does. If you need extra power when you're doing loader work, then I guess that's what you're supposed to use it for, but I just think that's unnecessary. Just set your throttle up. I don't know. That's just me. So this screen right here is the particulate matter that's in the exhaust filter. So you can see it's plugged 31% right now. Once that gets to 100%, it needs to do a regen. It'll tell you that. Pretty easy to do. You just have to turn your RPM up and it'll do that. So right here's the last time I changed the oil. It was 75 hours on this oil change now. And then we just have our trip and hours on the tractor. So up here is what gear we're in, or gear range we're in. So we're in medium range right now. There's low and high. Miles per hour you're going, and then your clock right there. So that's pretty much all the features of the tractor. I really wish I could have found that when I was looking at this tractor to buy it, because I couldn't find any videos of somebody going through that whole display like that. And it's kind of nice to know what features it has and doesn't have. So I want to talk about some of the things that I do with this, because I was saying that I have done a lot of different things with this tractor. So you can see I have my stump grinder on here right now. I use that to grind stumps, obviously. This actually probably puts the most pressure on the engine. The last tree I cut, the stump was probably 2.5 feet in diameter, and I was taking the biggest bites out of it, and it was actually bogging down the engine. I almost killed it once. So that's something to consider. Most of the time it doesn't do that. You can take smaller bites out of it and it works great. I have the grapple on here I use for tree removal and just lifting up rocks and so many things. I have done so much stuff with this grapple, and it's been a trooper for being the cheapest one I could find. Really works great. It was a great purchase for this. Some of the other things. So I bale hay. I hook a small square baler up to this. It's a Massey Ferguson number 3 baler. I have videos of that you can go check out. I'll put it in that playlist. Yeah, I've used it. Well, I used it last year for doing that, and I'll use it this year. It's almost, probably next week I'm going to start baling hay again. I just bought this hay rake for it. I haven't actually used it yet or even had it on the tractor yet. I bought it and sat it here, and I haven't needed it yet, but that's a new thing that I'm going to be using on it, so that'll be interesting to see how that works. I have the bucket obviously for the front, but honestly it looks like brand new. I have barely used it. I have a stump bucket for it. So the stump bucket I made because I was originally, before I got my stump grinder, I was going to dig all the stumps out, and turns out that's just way too much wear and tear on the tractor, especially for the trees I was trying to dig up. The root system on them was just annoying, so I decided against that. It was just putting a lot of wear and tear on the tractor, and I just really didn't want to do that to it. So that's when I bought the stump grinder, which was a great purchase. So over here, let's see, I have my pallet forks, which I use quite a bit too. This is probably my second most used front implement. I have my snow blade back there. I use that in the winter time. My box blade. So I bought this when I got the tractor, and it was great. I've used it quite a bit. One of the teeth was broken off of there when it was new, so they actually had to replace one of those for me when I first bought it. But I've used that several times and it works great. I mostly use it as a weight for the back. I just leave it on the back and it adds quite a bit of weight. I have this plow, 2-bottom plow. I haven't used this yet. I am going to, but I need to clear out my field first. I have this snow plow that I put on the front for the winter, and I used it once last year, but honestly, we just didn't get a whole lot of snow, so I didn't really need to use it that much. So yeah, I have that, but didn't use it much. So this is my sickle mower. It's a John Deere number 5 sickle mower. I think it's a 7-foot long sickle. And yeah, this is what I mow my fields with. So I have a bunch of videos with that. That's the John Deere Model A if you're interested in that, which most of the people on my channel are. I'm going to actually be doing a head gasket on this soon and clutches and stuff, so check back for that. I forgot I have this 3-point post hole digger here. So I use this several times, but it's just a pain in the butt to use by yourself. You kind of need somebody else there to stabilize it. And then in here, I have my bush mower for the back, which this one's a little small. I think it's 5 foot wide, but I really need like a 72-inch one. This one I bought when I had my old Ford 8N tractor, and it's just a little too narrow now. But I bought it new, and I could probably resell it and just buy another one, but I haven't. This is the baler that I have. It's a pretty small one. It's probably one of the smallest balers you can get, but honestly, it's great because I actually used this with my Ford 8N, and it worked fine on there. It pulled it around a bit, but it still worked fine. And the Kubota, it's like a dream using it with that because the live PTO is a game changer. It's, yeah, I don't think I'd ever buy another tractor that didn't have a live PTO because it's just so much more useful. It's crazy how much more useful it is. So those are all the implements. Oh no, it's not. I have a disc too. It's actually sitting over here in the weeds next to the parts baler, but I don't really use that hardly at all. I probably will in the future, but as of right now, it's just sitting in all the weeds. This field is probably ready to bale. I really need to get out here now. Probably next week. So yeah, that's all the implements I have. I'm going to put some videos throughout this of kind of showing what I've done with it, but that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of it. I really enjoy the tractor. I would suggest it to anyone that is looking at it. Get a Grand L. Don't get a standard L series. The Grand L is just so much more worth it. Get a limited edition if you need to for it to be a little cheaper. Honestly, most of the options aren't necessary anyway. So do that. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.